Hey everybody, what is up? I thought I would take the opportunity and use this video to officially announce my transition from Paragon to Paladins. Now, I already announced I'm done with Paragon and all that stuff, so I'm not going to really be talking about that anymore, except for maybe 3 to 6 months down the line where I see how the game has progressed maybe. But for now, though, I am diving 100% into Paladins, as well as other forms of content and other stuff that I just kind of want to do. But yeah, Paladins for the most part. And this video is going to be 3 reasons why I've chosen Paladins over everything else, with the goal of this video being a way to accurately convey the reasons that I like Paladins really more than any other alternative that I had from Paragon. And while Paladins isn't strictly a MOBA like the games in the past that I've played and covered, it does share some similarities with that genre that I have come to appreciate. I guess let's start at the beginning. I first became aware of Paladins quite some time ago in its earlier access state, but being at the time I didn't have a computer, I couldn't really play it. All I had was a PS4 at the time and was busy with stuff like Paragon and a few other titles. But over time, I found out that the Paladins had released into early alpha or beta access on the PS4, way back when it was harder to get a key for it. But I actually got access, and I think I spent around 20 or 30 hours playing it at that time on the PS4, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, even if it was on the controller, but I liked most every other aspect of the game. I didn't necessarily want to get into it too heavily at that time, because when I'm getting into a game and covering it on my channel, I want it to be like the definitive version. So PC was really the only option for me to do so, simply because it's the most up-to-date version, runs the best, looks the best, but namely because it has more of the content faster as opposed to the console versions which are behind. But then it happened. I updated to the PC Glorious Master Race, and I'm not looking back. I've taken the time to look at really all of my options in terms of what I could cover, what I would enjoy covering, and just all of the new things that I've missed out being on console for the past 3-4 years. It was a welcome change that inspired me to check out Paladins once again on what I consider the best platform for it to exist. And I am in no way condemning the console versions, which are just now gaining some steam. I think it's great that it's moved over to consoles, because the more people playing this game, really the better. The only problem, or not problem, but downside is that there is no cross-compatibility between all 3 platforms. I mean, it would be cool to be able to go up against console players and vice versa, but it wouldn't necessarily be fair. Maybe that's something that they could introduce into just the casual setup, the casual queue, and leave ranked to their own platforms, because, well, ranked is where the competitive people go usually, and casuals is, well, for casuals. So in my mind, that would make sense, having cross-compatibility, cross-platform gameplay between the more casual modes. With all that said, though, the first reason I've chosen Paladins is because of how much I enjoy the moment-to-moment gameplay. Paragon always left me drained after just a couple of matches, sometimes only one match. But Paladins, I can play for 3 to 4 hours at a time and not feel exhausted by the time I'm done, just because I'm enjoying really every second of gameplay that I get. Which is strange, because I didn't necessarily enjoy Overwatch all that much, even though they play very similarly. But I think the reason I enjoy it as much as I do is due to the character customization, and this is a great segue into reason number 2 for my enjoyment in choosing a Paladins. The customization and depth that comes along with being able to outfit the champions that you play with cards of both common and legendary variety that can really change their playstyle to match your own. And this is where a strong comparison to Paragon can come into play, because both games have a similar style of card system, and even like making your own decks, because you can make multiple decks per champion and then pick one at the very start of the match, and then you have to stick with it. But the biggest difference is that there are a maximum of 20 cards for each champion in Paladins. Now, these cards aren't universal and can be used and shared between all of the champions themselves. They are strictly created for that champion. So you have 20 different cards that usually have 20 different passive effects, with a legendary card being much more powerful. It's kind of like the Prime card from Paragon, but these cards grant huge changes and can be what really helps to dictate the style of play of any one given champion. Once you have the card unlocked, you make a deck with them, and you can choose and use at any one given time a maximum of 5 cards. So you have to choose carefully out of the 20 given to you to strategically min and max the wide variety of passive stats that, when combined together, will have a strong effect on how your character plays, which is definitely more limiting than what other games like Paragon offers, but at the same time, because it's more limited and more focused, I find overall that it can be more balanced. However, further testing, at least for myself, needs to be done in order to officially say that, but that's just my first impressions opinion of the system. And then the third and final reason, the one that actually I find is pretty important, at least in my opinion, is the kind of content I can create with a game like Paladins, and that it won't be that much different from the content I've already created for Paragon. You know, the things like the hero analysis, the critical opinions, the talking about certain balancing and different modes, and general helpful guides and gameplay and things like that. That I can do all of the same stuff with Paladins, and I mean that's what I'm used to. I've been doing that kind of content for a year, and it's difficult to break away from that mold, and I have already in some ways if you've been paying attention to some of my other content on my channel, like the previews and stuff. But I like being able to just dive into one game and really get into the whole balancing aspect of it and seeing what's fair and what's not fair and commenting on it and giving my opinion. That's just kind of what I do, you know? And while other MOBAs definitely exist out there for me to do a similar kind of content on, I just don't enjoy them as much as I do with a hero shooter like Paladins. Maybe it's because it's a MOBA. Maybe I'm just kind of tired of the whole MOBA scene, unless it does something radically different or is kind of like the way Paragon used to be. I don't know, maybe I'm just not interested at this point. I like the aspect of a hero shooter that allows you to hop into a game, play it, win it or lose it, all within the time span of 20 or less minutes. It's much less of a commitment, and the rewards that you get at the end of every match, regardless of winning or losing, definitely helps to spur you on to the next match if you are that kind of player. I know some people don't really care about the rewards, but I like that I can get 2 or 3 different kinds of rewards every hour as opposed to just one. And that's another big difference between hero shooters and MOBAs, is that in hero shooters you have a variety of different maps to work with. You're not stuck on just one map over and over and over again. Even if there are multiple changing events or variances in that one MOBA map, it's not the same. But that's okay, because it really does come down to personal preference in a lot of ways. And mine is to gravitate towards the type of game that has 3 to 4 modes and 10 or more maps. Unless that game looks like Paragon's Legacy map, in which case I could spend all day every day in that. Now, before I end this video, there's one more thing I want to mention as well. I am going to start another top 5 plays series for Paladins. This is a type of series that I started with Paragon, and while I enjoyed it, it was really tough to do. I did a style that I wasn't used to, and it took a long time to edit and to voice out and everything, and it was really, really difficult at the time, but I feel since then I have watched a lot of that kind of content, and I've learned how to really streamline it, and I'd like to do that with Paladins. So if you have any awesome clips, awesome plays, play the games, or whatever, make sure you send them to the email that I will have listed in the description down below, and yeah, we'll get started on a top 5 play series, and I'll try to make it really interesting and fun and exciting to watch. So definitely make sure to send me those clips, and I'll get to work right away on that series. In the meantime, though, let me know what you think in the comments down below about my decision to move to Paladins. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Hey, I'm okay either way. We'll have a discussion about it, and let's try to keep it civil. I'm no stranger to hate and vulgarity, but I think I've got my fill recently. I think this is a really cool opportunity, though, because even though this game did start off on PC, my videos won't be limited to those who play on PC, because the game is going to be available en masse very shortly to the entire console player base, Xbox, PS4, what have you. because they're giving out keys for it left and right nowadays, and will probably hit open beta sooner than later. So regardless of what platform you're on, if you like playing Paladins or if you enjoy Paladins YouTube content, make sure you hit that subscribe button to my channel to stay up to date on all things IMO gaming with Paladins, guides, character analysis, critical opinions, and top 5 plays. Before you go, do me a favor and slap that like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching and hopefully understanding my transition here to a whole nother game. I appreciate it, and I will catch you next time.